My name is Victoria Dolce, and I'm Associate Director of International Student Support and Engagement at the University of Florida International Center. In this video, we are going to talk about immunization requirements. Completing the UF immunization form before you arrive in the US will mean you have one less thing to worry about when you are here. Also, immunizations can be expensive in the US, so we want you to have the chance to get anything you are missing while you are still in your country where the rates may be cheaper. Please use this QR code to access the PDF of the immunization form shown here. We will go through the form together next. Before we get started, the UF International Center wants to point out that we are not providing medical advice, and the UF Health Compliance Office is the authority on immunization requirements. Our objective here is to explain the requirements, which are available on their website at healthcompliance.shcc.ufl.edu. The required immunizations for international students are MMR and tuberculosis screening. Before we look at Section A, please make sure you have completed the top of the form. Please write your UFID and your name clearly. Remember that in the US, dates are listed with the month before the day. Put the semester in which you will begin classes, and then your personal phone number. It's okay if this is an international number, just remember to include the country code. First, let's look at Section A. Note that there are 2 MMR vaccine dates required and that they must be on or after your first birthday. When you take your immunization records to the doctor, be careful. Sometimes a doctor will just put the first 2 dates on your records, and the first date may be too early. Make sure that both dates are on or after 12 months of age. The dates must also be at least 1 month apart. If you do not have 2 valid MMR dates, you can always do a blood test. If you get the blood test, your doctor should put the date on the form, and you must include the lab report in English to submit as well. Okay, so let's move on to hepatitis B. Notice that this is in Section A, which says required immunizations, but there is a place for you to waive this requirement. You don't need to show hepatitis B vaccination information if you sign the waiver. Signing the waiver indicates you understand the possible risk in not receiving this vaccine. So if you have hepatitis B dates in your personal immunization history, you should ask your doctor to transfer those to the UF form. In case there is any issue, we recommend that you also sign and date the waiver. If you do not have hepatitis B information and do not wish to receive the vaccine series, you must sign and date the waiver. The same is true for the third vaccine for meningitis. Again, if you don't have this vaccine and do not wish to receive it, sign and date the waiver. Even if you do have dates for this vaccine, you should sign and date the waiver just in case the Health Compliance Office sees any problems with it. Signing the waiver precludes them from requiring you to do anything else for these 2 immunizations. Let's move on to tuberculosis. Note that this section must be completed within 12 months of your program start date. Also, the BCG vaccine is not accepted for this tuberculosis screening requirement. There are 2 options, the skin test and the blood test. We know that the skin test is difficult to find in some countries, therefore we also accept the blood test for tuberculosis. It's important to know that if you had the BCG vaccine, the skin test may give you a false positive result. To avoid this, you may want to do the blood test in your country before you arrive in the US because it will probably be much cheaper. If you do the skin test, the notation on the form is very important. The test must be placed and the result must be read between 48 and 72 hours apart. Also, the doctor's office must include the millimeter measurement of the test as well as the result. It is not sufficient to only say the test was negative, for example. All 4 boxes must be completed fully and correctly. Once again, please remember that dates in the US should be in month, day, year format. If you do the skin test correctly and it is negative, congratulations, you don't have to do anything else. Option 2 is the blood test. The form should include the date of the test and the result. You must also include the lab report for the blood test in English with the immunization form. Hopefully your blood test is negative, and if it is, you don't have to do anything else. But what if your skin test or blood test was positive? Then you also need the chest x-ray. Only people with a positive skin or blood test result should do a chest x-ray. The chest x-ray is not sufficient for the tuberculosis screening, like the BCG vaccine is also not sufficient. So if you do need the chest x-ray, make sure the doctor's office writes the date and the result on the form, and they give you the lab report in English to submit with your immunization form. X-ray images are not required. All right, before you leave the doctor's office, make sure they have done 3 things. They stamped the form, got the doctor's signature, and the date. Remember that completing the immunizations before your arrival in the U.S. will be one less thing you have to worry about as you begin your academic journey at UF. Use this QR code to submit your immunization documents, and keep in mind that you may need more immunizations in the future depending on your academic program. Please contact the UF Health Compliance Office with any questions.